Emanators, the demigods of the cosmos and the few select individuals that the Aeons have taken a special liking to. And with this favor comes blessings of power that can be so extreme that they can change the course of history and the finality. So it's only natural that they tend to be at the forefront of every plot. But unfortunately, Emanators are one of the most confusing and controversial topics known to Honkai Star Rail, and one of the topics that Hoyo has done a terrible job at explaining, leading to community-wide debates over who is an Emanator, who isn't, and what character is stronger than the other. And in the past, I have made a video that at the time I thought would solve all of our problems. But all it took was a single voice line from 4.2 to send us all back to square one. And the implication of this may just prove that Honkai Star Rail has an Emanator problem. And all because we finally have a voice of authority giving us a method of understanding what an Emanator is. So in this video, I will amend my previous statements, but also express my concern for the understanding of the entire power system going forward. So without further ado, this is Honkai Star Rail's Emanator problem explained. Evanescia is next week and I'll be doing viewer polls, so if you want me to bring home the adorable pink tree fox, join the Discord, linked in the description to sign up there. And oh my god, we are getting close to the number that shall not be named. We gained 400 subs since the last video. Y'all are absolutely insane. On to the video. Okay, so to start things off, the original claim I made was that the term Emanator was a very exclusive term, only reserved for the strongest of the strong like Acheron, Herta, and now Silverwolf, with the definition from the loading screen claiming that Emanators are individuals who receive power directly from the Aeons. Not to be confused with being gazed at by an Aeon, that's
Most of the time, a gaze is simply a natural phenomenon, though some Pathstriders regard it as a supreme honor. An Emanator, however, must possess power granted by an Aeon's blessing.
completely different thing. That's more like giving a buff to a Pathstrider. Being an Emanator means the Aeon is giving you direct access to their power in a limited capacity. Unless we're dealing with AHA or IX, that's debatable. Not path energy, direct Aeon power. And I took the word directly very seriously, because there are many individuals we know who have power from the Aeons that aren't considered Emanators. For example, Fushuan and Blade. Fushuan has the Omnitia in her forehead, which is a third eye given to her by Noose, and Blade has the flesh of Shuhu in his body, which is that of an Abundance Emanator. Not to mention people like the 10 Stonehearts who have portions of Diamond's Emanator power with them at all times, along with the Arbiter Generals whose Spiritus is an inherited power passed down from general to general. And in the past, for the sake of clarity, I didn't consider these characters Emanators for two reasons. One, because they aren't nearly as strong as the likes of confirmed Emanators, and two, because they all get their access to Aeon power indirectly. With the likes of Herta and Acheron, the power their respective Aeons gave them is in their body at all times, to be used at their disposal. It was given directly to them and only them. And for Silverwolf, her cartridge is tied to her identity as a Punklordian, so as far as we know, there's no such thing as stealing a high-level cartridge to use it yourself. So that power belongs to her and her alone, regardless of whether she is using it or not. That power is given directly to the individual, and the Stonehearts and Arbiter Generals don't necessarily fit that criteria. So I created the term pseudo-Emanators to more accurately reflect their level of strength and how they acquired their power. However, with the 4.2 story's release, we got this.
Plain Arcadia is crawling with Emanators. How are you going to take us on? With a single masked fool and a bunch of Abundance minions?
The Emanators you speak of are nothing more than a tenth of a pebble, a piece of wood, and... Oh, and a warlord.
So it appears that the term Emanator is far more broad of a term than I initially thought, which, to be honest, makes my job so much harder. Because now I kind of feel like the term Emanator means absolutely nothing. Let me explain. For one thing, we can confirm that the Arbiter Generals are considered Emanators, and Stonehearts are 1/10 of an Emanator, which indicates that these individuals blessed by the Aeons have a tier level, which admittedly we kinda already knew, since the Aeons all treat their Emanators differently and the Lord Ravagers all vary drastically with their threat levels. So that much makes sense. Hence, Assad Pramad looks down on these Emanators who he thinks are weaker than him. But of course, it's even more complicated than this, because now that we understand that literally everyone with Aeon powers is considered an Emanator, even if they are 1/10 of one, now we gotta talk about why this term being broad is a problem. Because we know for a fact that Lord Ravagers are some of the strongest Emanators in the cosmos, but mainly because Nanook cheats. They tend to make their Emanators out of people like Zephyro, a rumored self-annihilator just like Acheron, so it's unconfirmed if this guy could be a double Emanator having the Aeon powers of two different Aeons, IX and Nanook, which is just a recipe for the most catastrophic disaster known to the cosmos, a concept we know exists because Selenova and Iron Tomb also exist. Selenova was a harmonic string or a harmony emanator before dying to Nanook and being resurrected as a Lord Ravager that now hates Sheepei. So that's two Aeons again, and Iron Tomb we all know is a severed off scepter of Nous that rose to be a destruction emanator. That almost destroyed the cosmos. So just with those examples, you can see that not all of the Lord Ravager's power is because of Nanook, but nevertheless, they are the strongest we currently know about in terms of who hits the hardest, along with Acheron, of course. But there is a strong argument for Elation Emanators being the strongest as well, all because of Aha's unique influence. Because unlike every other Aeon, Aha does not limit the power they give their Emanators and instead urges and encourages them to break the limits to see how far they can go. So to compare Aha to Nanook, Nanook pretty much says, I'm going to fix your natural deficiencies with antimatter, now go and kill the Aeon you feel like killing. And Aha says, I have the power of reality manipulation. Here is all of my power. I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with it. And you better do something cool or I'm taking it back and killing you. Have fun. So even though we have never seen an Emanator of Elation blow up a galaxy like Zephyro, we know for a fact that Silverwolf is capable of something arguably more impressive. Hear me out. Taking down the IPC means defeating at least 2 confirmed preservation Emanators and all 10 Stonehearts, some of which, like Jade, are capable of summoning Klapot's Hammer Strike. And if that isn't insane enough, also defeated Polka Kakamond, a threat so dangerous that she is somewhere above Emanator level. Herta and Xandar 1 Kuwabara, the creator of Nous, both Emanators of Erudition, do not stand a chance to her to the point where they don't even bother trying to defend themselves. They just hope that she doesn't show up.
You know you're signing your death sentence right here.
Of course I do.
And she was defeated by a single Emanator of Elation. And the reason why isn't as simple as Silverwolf can blow up galaxies, no. This is because Elation has the power of reality manipulation so strong that this path can manipulate the Aeons. And this isn't even it, because Elation is so broken and limitless that apparently, from what we have seen, Silverwolf can steal body parts and objects off of a person she is fighting. So theoretically, if Wolfie mastered her reality hacking abilities and fought Acheron, what would happen if she stole Acheron's sword? The fight ends. See what I mean by Elation doesn't need to be powerful if it just controls reality? I say all of this not to rank the Emanators, that's another video. What I mean to say is that no two are the same, and the term now does not indicate the level of power the person has at all. Because for one thing, Fantilia and Zephyro are Emanators of the same path and nowhere near close to each other in terms of anything. And for another thing, if people like, I don't know, Jade is labeled as an Emanator and clumped in with the likes of Evanescence and Yao Guang, and all she can do is see people's desires, and Pearl can just what looks to be analyze things, do you see the problem here? The term becomes meaningless because the gap between someone like Zephyro and someone like Jade is unfathomable. So saying someone is an emanator means absolutely nothing now. First, we thought it represented a certain echelon of power due to the directness of the Aeon's blessing, but now it gives no indication of anything but roughly having something to do with the possession of an Aeon's power. And that is something that, admittedly, yeah, I have a problem with it. Because when terms become vague like this, it gets more difficult to establish who is stronger than who, and when characters show up and say, oh, this is an emanator, now we're going to think, well, is this 1/10 of an emanator, a half of an emanator, a full emanator? What are we talking about here? Because think about it. This could mean that Ting Yun is an emanator of destruction, and Fushan is an emanator of erudition. Ting Yun in 4.0 has shown to have destruction power left over from the mark Fantilia left on her, meaning that she has some of Fantilia's power.
That power of the destruction within me, it's still hard to control. Madam Yao, I've done everything in my power to keep them alive, as you said.
How is this different from a Stoneheart? It's not. It is still an emanator giving a small portion of their power to another person. So if Topaz is 1/10 of an emanator, Ting Yun is now also a fraction of an emanator. And according to Silverwolf, can be grouped in with the likes of Evanescia and Yao Guang. And again, the Omnitia is from Noose, so Fushan is probably more of an emanator than Ting Yun is, but we don't know, the term is vague. Now we need a fraction comparison of what Fushan is as an emanator. See the problem here? And to go even further, I've gotten complaints because of my claiming that Jingyuan isn't an emanator. But the reason why I was saying this was because Marshal Hua exists and is above all of the Arbiter Generals in power. So she is clearly an emanator. So what does this make her now? She's just an emanator too, I guess, and the vagueness is only going to make things worse because now we have no initial named indication of how strong someone is. And this doesn't even address the differences that the paths naturally have, because Lan isn't that strong of an Aeon due to having a narrow path. So the generals can't be assumed to be too strong, especially if Fantilia, who is a low-tier Lord Ravager, obligatory low-tier Fantilia joke, would be able to solo one. Fantilia only lost because Jingyuan had help. This is what I mean by the term has lost its meaning. Because this wouldn't be a problem if Silverwolf wasn't throwing Pearl in with the rest, but Assad Pramad calling her out really does expose just how vague this term is and why it can no longer be trusted as a word that denotes someone that is really cosmos-shakingly strong. Because saying someone is above a normal Pathstrider like, I don't know, Ling Sha isn't saying much. The gaps are wide, and the one word we could use for designating the cream of the crop isn't going to help us anymore. So in my efforts to power scale and bring a sense of clarity to this mess Hoyo has made, I'm going to continue using the term pseudo-emanator for people like the generals and the Stonehearts, purely because there is clearly a tier above them reserved for a true emanator like Marshal Hua and Diamond. Using the same term to denote her and the generals who are clearly a term below her, it just feels wrong and really misleading. And by making my job harder, this just means, oh yeah, Jingyuan is an emanator, oh yeah, and so is Yao Guang, oh yeah, and so is Marshal Hua. Now people are going to think that Marshal Hua is just as strong as any other Arbiter General, which that's not the case at all. But to sum all of this up, I really hope that we get some clarity in the future, because now the only term we had to help us out is about as useful as the ratings pistol. Because this is Honkai Star Rail's Emanator problem explained. I really hope that Hoyo stops using the word emanator for people who really aren't, because for a community that has had countless issues with the word in the past, this could only make it worse. We need specific name tiers of strength that surprisingly Genshin seems to do well. They have the normal vision wielders, and then the Adepti spirit god people, and then the Archons, and at the very top we have the Exen Circle that pretty much lays out well enough how strong characters are. Not to say it's flawless, because 2 Vision Kazuha smacked up Raiden, but Then again, she's a fraud as it is, but then you've got the weird abyss powers that make everything weird. But at least it's better than calling everyone either a Pathstrider or an Emanator, because that's not doing it for me, and I don't think it does it for really anyone else. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.